Okay, so we're getting near the end of October, which means it's almost Halloween. I've got a couple of special things to open up for you still, but today I got something that's creepy enough, I think. It's Deadman from the damn it. From the Mcfarlane Superpowers line, and man, that was a hell of a sneeze, wasn't it? Yeah, that's maybe just an unboxing in theory at this point because it's already. This is the way it came. This is the way Mcfarlane sent this to me. This is what Mcfarlane thought was acceptable for their gold label exclusive figures. And look at Nightwing here. We're going to go ahead and open up Nightwing too, but he's not quite as creepy as Deadman. Look at this. I don't even have to open them up. I just have to do like that. It's already opened. So let's read the back of the package, the so-called bio that we're going to get. Orphaned aerialist Dick Grayson was Batman's first sidekick before becoming Nightwing. Wow. Okay. Yeah, look at there's the cross-sell artwork. It's got some of those Superman movie figures on there that I don't care about. So these are probably going to be the last Superpowers figures that I open because McFarlane's done with the line. Unless Mattel wants to do some when they pick them up. Rouge Hans asks, so Wednesday, October 29th. So hello. Yeah, it's almost Halloween. So just a couple more days. Bobby Wald says, that's a whole lot of card for that figure. Well, that's how they did things back in the 80s, So we'll go ahead and open up Nightwing first, and then we'll get into the creepier character. And there's a reason that I didn't want to open both of these at the same time. So here we go. Nightwing out of the package, and he looks pretty good. He's a lot smaller than the previous Nightwing figure, which was, I think, a little too large and bulky. This one's probably a little more accurate in terms of the size that he should be. Is that my original Superpowers Robin there? Sean Franklin is here, and he says hi. Hi right back at you, Sean Franklin. So he's a little bit taller, you can see, than the original Superpowers Robin, who's supposed to be at least a slightly younger Dick Grayson than this. So he grew a little bit. Got a similar enough build. I kind of feel like this does a better job of fitting in with the 80s Superpowers figures than the previous Nightwing figures did. Not just that it's more in scale, but this is probably the version of Nightwing they would have done if they'd done a Nightwing figure in the Superpowers line in the 80s, because that's what Nightwing looked like in the 80s, obviously. And they did a pretty good job with his costume. Some areas of it are kind of simplified a little bit, but that's to be expected because this is a rather complex looking costume. But if you look at his belt's kind of a little bit simplified. Rouge Hunt says those figures remind me of Robot Chicken. Yeah, I like Robot Chicken. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. So his head should rotate all the way around, except for it bumps into the collar a little bit. That's to be expected, I suppose. And then the arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. The legs kick up about that far. The legs kick back about that far. And then it's got single joint of articulation at the knee, and that's it. That's all the articulation he gets because he's a 1980s style action figure, and they kept things simple back then. But I like the paint details. I like the sculpting. The head does look to me like a little bit cartoonish. The Superpowers figures that Kenner made back in the 80s, I kind of feel like the sculpts were a little more realistic, and McFarlane's versions, I think, are a little bit more simplified and cartoonish, but they're still fine. So anyway, let's go ahead and open up Deadman, read his bio in the back. Given an eerie afterlife as the spectral superhero Deadman, he has the power to possess the living in order to fight for justice and find his own killer, who was a hook-handed individual, I guess kind of inspired by The Fugitive, where he was framed for the murder of his wife, and so he was always after that one-armed man. Finally caught him in the last episode. God, The Fugitive was a good show. And like, if you haven't seen the show The Fugitive, you've probably seen the movie with Harrison Ford. Grant G says, yeah, not so keen on that Nightwing costume. You are not alone, actually. Like, I would say it's probably the least popular of Nightwing's costumes, but actually it's my favorite. And the reason why is because I kind of feel like this one captured like the swashbuckling flavor of the character in a way that none of the other ones didn't. Now, I will admit that the blue and black costume, that's the one that's become the most iconic. And if I was making a movie or a TV show or a cartoon about Nightwing, that would be the costume I would put him in because it's the one that everybody remembers. But I got a soft spot for this one. It was his first costume, and it's the one that I remember when he first became Nightwing in the comics. So I enjoyed that. So the reason that I wanted to open up both these guys at the same time is they actually share most of the same body parts. But something funny they did is even though they both have these high collars, they have different high collars, and Deadman's collar is actually a little bit higher than Nightwing's and kind of points up to the side. But I don't think anybody would have complained if they had to just reuse the same collar piece. I think people probably would have been fine with them both having the same collar piece. But kudos to Mcfarlane for actually going out of the way and making a separate collar piece, which I don't think was absolutely necessary, but it's cool that they did it. And they did a great job with Deadman's head. He actually, to me, looks what I would imagine an 80s. That's the NECA on the vintage card. And then I got that's the box for King Vulcan. But I like these vintage cards ones so much. I had to buy extras to keep them in the package. So, and I got those for cheap on eBay. You might be able to find them for a good price on eBay still. I don't know. It was a while back that I got them. But yeah, he's got some good detail. I don't know if I can get that to focus very well, but it's got like lots of wrinkles and his face kind of craggy, and he looks like a dead man, as dead man should probably look. Ka-chow, says Rouge Hans. And Bobby Wald says, reminds me of the episode of Family Guy where they have sharp collars slicing at all the people at the dance club. Well, they didn't call this the Disco Elvis Nightwing costume for nothing. But yeah, they got different heads, obviously, and different collars and different belts. Now, obviously, you got to give them different heads. And maybe they could have gotten away with giving them different belts, but they definitely could have gotten away with giving them different collars, and they did not, and I appreciate that. Now, Deadman's costume, as it's usually drawn in the comics, much like another acrobatic fellow with D on his chest, Daredevil, in the comics, it's usually drawn as being a very dark red, which they depict on... what do I spend on shaving cream? Practically nothing. I actually haven't shaved with like an actual proper razor in a while. I usually like trim up my beard with like clippers or scissors or whatever whenever I do it. And obviously I haven't gotten around to it in a while. And I need to shave my head too. But I usually wind up just using clippers. And ever since I moved, I misplaced I had like an old granddad razor, like, the old safety razor. That's what I like to shave with, because I don't like shaving with like those Mach 3 kind of things, because my beard's so thick it just gets clogged up in it. So I like to use the old granddad razor. Those are the ones I like the best. And but I misplaced it when I moved, and I even tried to order another one on Amazon a while back, but it wound up getting lost, and they just gave me my money back, and it was a whole thing. Rouge Hunt says these action figures must be gay to be must be a gay to be kissed to each other's. I don't know. I didn't have them kiss. It wasn't me. So we've seen action figures kissing on this show before, but I didn't do it with these two. Anyway, so much like with Nightwing, Deadman's head doesn't turn all the way around except bumps into that collar, but obviously his articulation is the same as Nightwing's, because all these superpowers figures articulation is the same, but especially since he has mostly the same body as Nightwing. Oh yeah, so I was talking about in the comics they usually color this guy with like I think it's supposed to look like a dark red suit, or at least kind of like a shiny red suit, like almost like the shiny side of spandex or something like that. So he's usually got like a lot of black shading on him. and then just red gloves, boots, belt. It's all colored like solid red, but it's a little difficult to get that a differentiation going in a three-dimensional form the same way that you do in a comic book. So what they did here is they've just got his most of his outfit colored in regular red, and then his gloves and his belt and his shoes. He's got little shoes. Those are colored like a slightly lighter, slightly more orangish red. And one thing that I think they probably should have done with this guy, and I wish they had thought of it, is he's supposed to have, as I remember it, I could be mistaken, but as I remember, he's supposed to have shoes kind of like what Robin has, where it, the booties kind of flare out a little bit, have that little bit of a flare there. But they did not do that with Deadman. He looks like he's just got on like little loafers or something like that. So if they had to reuse at least the lower legs from Jason Todd, they could have given him more accurate booties, but they did not, unfortunately. So excuse me. Been a long day. So Deadman looks really cool. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Nightwing looks really cool. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Unfortunately, those were the only two figures I was able to get from this wave. Cyborg was all sold out, so I wasn't able to get and then the full set was all sold out. So, but I was able to get these two, and I guess that's a good way to wind up McFarlane's Superpowers line, which I really enjoyed. But all good things must come to an end. And like I said, Mattel's picking up the line, picking up DC later on. So, maybe they'll make their own Superpowers type figures. Who knows? I guess we'll see. But hopefully Mattel will be doing some good stuff once they take over. And McFarlane's still doing DC Multiverse at least through 2027, I think they said. So we're still going to get a lot more cool stuff from McFarlane, but that's the end of Superpowers, unfortunately. Now, what I got coming up for you next is some pretty cool stuff. I'd been teasing that I had a special Batman figure that I was saving for closer to the end of the month, and I've got one more Halloween figure to open up that I'm going to open up. I'm planning on doing that on Halloween Day. So tomorrow, I think I'll open up the Batman figure. And then the next figure after that, that's what I'm going to open up. But what Batman figure is it? You're gonna have to tune in on the next episode. So make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe. So I like to say like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these figures and these characters in general. It does kind of make sense that that Nightwing's figure looks, or that Nightwing's costume here looks a lot like Deadman's costume, and that's because in the story Nightwing Year One, they explained that he actually based his costume off of Deadman's. It's just kind of supposed to be a blue version of Deadman's costume, so that's kind of cool. And they were both former circus acrobats, so they got a lot in common. So pretty cool. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye. Time to end the stream.